Good morning, Mark. Here we are for another episode of True Business Stories. It's interesting over the last week. I guess I'm as confused as anybody in small business or in business in general about where the economy's going, because you sent me a discussion paper from the head of the Westpac Bank, I think it was, wasn't it?
Bill.
That's right.
Bill
Evans.
Bill Evans, the accountant or not the accountant, shouldn't say that. He's their economist.
That's right. And what was his general theme?
His general theme was things will get better, and that interest rates will come down. So, but he's a bit of an outlier in that sort of.
Yeah, well, I went to a session with the chief economist at KPMG, and I must admit he painted a bit of a dark picture for the future. So, we just don't know where the economy's going, and I think there's no doubt we're going to be in for a ride of different sorts over the next 12 months. And the other thing was this morning I wore a jacket. Now, that's the first time since last year that I put a jacket on. So the weather, I'm getting softer, the weather's getting colder.
Weather's getting colder.
So, Mark, today we're talking to a young, vibrant couple who have started off on a great adventure. And would you like to introduce them for us?
So we've got Erin and Luke Saliba. Is that the right pronunciation?
Saliba.
Yeah. Saliba. Okay, I knew I was going to get it wrong. And I met Erin through the Vecchi mentoring service, and I'm just looking up at the poster on the wall of Paper Champions that Erin and Luke produced, directed, acted in, and it's on Netflix. And I was so impressed that I know somebody who has a picture on Netflix that I had to follow through. So welcome, Erin. Welcome, Luke.
Thanks for having us. Well, thanks for coming in.
And we're sitting in their great little studio spot in Garden Street in East Geelong. And we'll talk a little bit about that, what Luke does here and Erin does here. But let's start with the story. So, Erin, primary school, where did you go to primary school?
I was lucky. I went to Christian College in Geelong from prep through to year 12. So I had my time at junior school and middle school and senior school. So I loved school. I found it was a really great place to have opportunity and, really was encouraged within my creativity. Actually, so much so that I used to come up with dance routines on a monthly basis. And Mr. Smith, the music teacher there, would let me perform them at assembly, which I'm sure after 5 performances, everyone was sick of it, but I had to round up everybody and do it. So I definitely felt like I was allowed to express myself and explore those areas too at school.
That's interesting. There are ghosts at that school.
Right. The amount of tall tales we would get told as kids, it was so funny. You didn't want to go anywhere by yourself, but no, it was such a great school. I loved it. Yeah, it was great.
What about you, Luke? Where did you start off?
I went to Star of the Sea in Ocean Grove, Our Lady Star of the Sea. Yeah. And it was because we moved down to Ocean Grove when I was really young. I grew up in Ocean Grove for about 25 years of my life.
Well, that's interesting. One of our early podcasts was with an architect in Ocean Grove, and she was on the school board down there because she had kids in primary school, didn't she?
She did too.
Yeah.
So where did you come down from, Luke? Where did you?
Melbourne, Sunshine.
Okay.
We were...
Moved to the coast.
And then moved down to the coast. Yeah, Mum and Dad came down to the coast and we were lucky enough to become coastal kids.
Fantastic. So, Erin, your first job, what were you...
My first job was at Mitre 10, at Fags Mitre 10. It was great. I think it was a great place to start, just to learn about the pace of customer service and learning how to work within a team. And I was 14 and 9 months is when you're allowed to start working. So I was quite young at the time, and I learnt a lot about hardware and things that I didn't know about. So, it was really good. And my mum was working there at the time as well. So, that was my first job.
And Luke, what was yours?
My first job was a paper round in Ocean Grove, and I remember I got the hilly round and used to get paid more depending on the amount of hills. So it was good, but it also had its its struggles. And then I started at Coles when I was older, because I think you could be quite young on a paper round. So then I guess my first official job was at Coles in Ocean Grove.
So, Erin, what led you into the creative industry? When you finished school, what was your dream? What were you thinking of doing?
It's so funny because who I am now and who I was at probably 10 are very similar, but who I was at 18 is very different. Like, I feel that when I finished school, I felt like I had to go to university and I had to get a job with job security. And there's a few things around my life at that time as well when I thought, okay, and because I come from, a church background too, a lot of people there are teachers and nurses and tradies, and I thought, okay, well, I need to have a job that's going to be sustainable and be able to give back to the community. And so I decided to do nursing, even though all through school I did drama and media and the arts, and I loved it. And it's really funny how I've done a bit of like a 180, or I guess a 360, but I did nursing for a couple of years, and I just had this big life-changing moment, and I'd ended a long-term relationship, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go do what I want. And I quit nursing, and I decided to stay on doing a bachelor because I really wanted to graduate. I didn't want to start something and not finish it. So if I'd committed to doing it, I was going to do it and see it through. So I actually just took my credits over and just completed a Bachelor of Arts and majored in photography. And the reason I did that was because I had to do some electives, and I was getting HD in all my creative electives and then barely passing my nursing ones. So I thought, well, that makes sense. And then I've just, over my 20s, it's just been developing that and giving myself permission to create and have fun again and to be okay with just taking my time. So,
Erin, you did that at the Deakin, didn't you? That
Deakin.
Initial degree.
Yep.
But also I know that you're doing something at Canberra. What's that about?
Yeah, so a school it's called Compton School, and David Court started it, and it's for those in creative businesses. It's kind of, you end up with a graduate certificate in creative business, so it's kind of like an MBA for creatives. I'm not phenomenal at the finance part, but I'm definitely understanding it, but it's really about entrepreneurship and how to pitch, and, we get to hear from some really great speakers, and I've learnt so much over my time there. I've actually just got one more unit to complete and I'll be done. So I'm really enjoying that, and I never thought I'd go back to study, but it's funny that because I completed my bachelor and actually saw it through, that's now allowed me to go do postgraduate studies in something that's going to help me phenomenally in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Well, that was a smart move, wasn't it? We often, Mark, what's our favourite saying about tipping point, sliding doors?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because, Erin, you've obviously had that tipping point. You started down the nursing bit, and the tipping point was whatever changed, that you went, no, I need to go. And you're not alone. So many of people we interview start going one way and then go, no, and do a 360 or a 180. It's quite fascinating. So, Luke, what did you do? So you finished school. What did you head off into?
I remember sort of careers day. I don't know, is that even what we call it? Yeah, careers day. Yeah. And sort of, I always had this passion for acting, and I always had this passion for the film industry, but it was always sort of like this, that's a great little bit of fun, or that's, a great hobby. So I didn't really know what else I wanted to do. So after high school, I went and did a film course at Footscray City College, which was a TAFE course, and I met a really great bunch of filmmakers and friends. The writer that's on our next film at the moment, he was a student there and also teaches writing there. So I did that, and then with sort of the team of people that I met there, we sort of went away and started making short films and things like that. But I think for me, I also sort of fell into producing as well, because I was sort of chasing this, the passion of that I have for acting, and was sort of in the industry as an actor. And then I thought, we need to make our own content. We need to make our own films and make our own opportunities. So sort of just started helping friends and producing short films for friends. And then I guess that's where sort of Erin and I met, our paths crossed. All
right, so tell us about that.
Yeah.
Where did you meet?
We met through some mutual friends, and the first time I saw Luke, I was like, I like this guy. And then from there, we kind of built a friendship, and it was a few years after I'd gotten out of a long-term relationship, and I felt in that I'd really lost myself and lost my creativity, because I just felt like it's totally fine, but his background was very much like 9-to-5 job security, get a house, that's how you do it. And I just never felt like I really fit into that kind of mold, because I come from, like, my mum and dad were very creative people, and always been encouraged to pursue that. And so, it's a question. I'm so sorry.
How do we cross
paths? Yeah, sorry.
Well, that's
do we cross paths.
You've forgotten the story.
I've forgotten the story. I'm great. I'm a creative mind. Sorry.
We better write a script in the future.
Oh, God. And so, meeting Luke was really refreshing, and I was working at Grace Acting Studios.
Yeah, I was teaching at Grace Acting Studios, and I think at some point Erin and I got talking about
how I missed
how she
drama.
missed acting, and she always wanted to do acting. So I sort of enrolled her into a class, because I was like, well, start doing classes. And I think you were a bit hesitant.
I was very scared driving there, and I was like, why did he do this? Why did he book me in? He's like, I booked you in. You have to go now. And I was like, okay. And I turned up and I walked in, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, this is where I'm meant to be. I just felt really at home, and I felt like the people there that I was with, it was just really fun, and it was just a great way just to have, some creative expression, but also, work on comedy and drama, and just really build that community of creatives. And we're still really good friends with a lot of people in that class now. And Grace Acting Studios don't do adult classes anymore, but a lot of the people that did are pursuing creative careers within this industry.
Well, I was fortunate enough to visit Grace Acting Studios, judging them for the Business Awards, and I had no idea that place existed. But what impressed me was how they take young kids who come in there, who are, you could probably call introverts, and sort of sitting in the corner, and turn them into confident, really great young kids. It's not about they're going to be actors in the future, but it's how they transform their personalities. Now, I know the two of you have both been there for a long time, so that's probably a good grounding in a lot of things. But Luke, I want to come back to you for a minute. Tell me about the SPA internship.
Yeah, so
we better explain what it's about.
No, so the Screen Producers Australia run once a year. They've got a mentorship program where you apply, and out of all the applications, they pick 12 ones to watch, is what they call it. So they pick 12 producers that they think are ones to watch, and we have, so over a 6-month period, we get partnered with a well-established producer in the industry, and I've been partnered with Rick Kalowski, who was the head of ABC Comedy, and is now sort of gone off and is running his own production company. And what it is you work with, so we have our monthly Zoom calls where we've had incredible, production companies and people from the industry sort of talk to us and mentor us. But with our one-on-one mentors, we sort of build a slate of work for Screen Forever conference that happens in Queensland in May, which is a big sort of like networks and all of these producers and people looking to buy content and stories all sort of meet, and we pitch and all that sort of stuff. So it was really great, because Erin was doing her business course, and then I applied for this and got in. So it is a really great balance right now between the two of us, with Erin focusing a lot on the business, and then me being able to sort of focus on our slate of work and building up, what our next projects look like, and I guess hopefully selling some of these projects and getting them made soon.
So was it all across Australia?
Yeah.
That's a big kudos then, isn't it?
I to be honest, I applied not expecting to get in.
And Luke, am I right in saying that $20,000 went with it at the same time?
Yeah, well, you can...
Or is that in-kind value of what it's worth?
So you can... There's a $20,000 internship at the end. So we can all apply for an internship with a production company, and then Screen Australia, one of us will go off and do that internship.
What a great opportunity.
It is. It is. It's amazing. And meeting all of the other producers, and, we're all sort of in the same
coming up together.
Yeah, we're all in the on the same level, and we're all sort of in that stage of where we're all learning, and it's been great to be able to sort of mentor each other because everyone is working on so many different.
So you're going in May to the?
Yeah, so Erin and I will go up in May and pitch
defrost for a little while.
So what will you pitch? What do you,
Well,
are you allowed to say what?
Yeah,
we're
we're allowed to.
We've got a series called Ambergris, which is going to be like a 6-part comedy series, which we want to shoot down in Point Lonsdale, which follows a bunch of retirees that move down there. They lose their retirement fund, and then they find a big chunk of whale vomit, which they discover they can sell for millions of dollars on the black market. So they sort of get
involved with the wrong people. A lot of explosions, it's cars, a lot of things.
Yeah.
What's that movie with the old people in the home? Do you remember that around the pool?
Cocoon?
Yeah, Cocoon. Yeah. Is this a Cocoon with a different twist?
You know what? I'm going to add that to my watch list now.
Yeah.
That's good. And then we've got a film that we're working on too, which is the next major thing, which we're going to be shooting in Geelong, called Antonio S. and the Mystery of Theodore Guzman. That's a working title, but it's based off a book by a Victorian author from the 90s. And yeah, we got the rights to the book January 2020, and only now have we just received the final draft that we can now go with and pitch with that. But we've got some exciting people attached. I guess we could say who's attached. Yeah, well, the director we have attached is Kriv Stenders, and he directed Red Dog and is quite well known and well connected within the Australian industry. And he's really excited for this to be a really creative project, and it's going to be a bit different. I don't think it's going to be what has ever been done before, which is really exciting. Like, it's fun to do something different and be innovative and push the boundaries. And sometimes I feel like, especially in the Australian screen industry, there's a bit of a glass ceiling about what can be achieved and what we can do. But it's like, well, why can't we make things that are a bit more, different and this is going to be whimsical and magical and big and Tim Burton-esque and meets Wes Anderson meets I don't know what Kriv Stenders. So it's like
that's fantastic. Mark, I was just thinking to myself then, because you know how we put a title on each of our episodes, just trying to work out how do I put whale vomit into the title of this podcast.
So asking a dumb question from my side, how hard is it to get the concept, get the rights to a book, screenwrite it? How long does it take from the moment you go, right, we've got the rights, to it appears on Netflix or the movie studios, theatre or wherever? Is that like a 5-year journey?
This is the thing. So, for instance, with Paper Champions, like our debut feature, which we'd made to get our foot in the door and just kind of prove that if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it and do it to a really high standard. Also proving that you can shoot something of that quality in your hometown. That was based off a short film that Luke had done called Ray. And then within 2 years, we had the next script done, a team together. We'd managed to get almost $500,000 of private equity from Geelong investors. Within 2.5 years, we went from script to screen, which is unheard of.
Which we went into it quite naive and thinking...
Everyone said, it'll take 10 years. It'll take 10 years.
A lot of the people we talk to just are shocked at how we made it so quick. But it's because we did it independently and we didn't realise that was... we were like, 2 years, that was a rough slog. But now I think with the projects that we're working on now, that like Erin said,
it's been 3 years.
It's already been 3 years just getting the script to a point. And we've attached director and sort of
built
put some things in place. But it could take another 5 years. It could be shot next year. Like, it's just one of those...
And
things that
they always say you should have 12 things on your slate. So your slate in this business, you have 3 television shows and 4 movies on the go and all that kind of stuff. And also talking about IP and having your own IP to sell, and you can sell things to companies as well. So there's always little bits and pieces you can do, as well as jumping onto other people's productions. But in terms of how hard is it, I think if you've got, we've learned a lot about ourselves, and I think also being husband and wife and being business partners and working together every day, it's like learning what both of our individual strengths are. And I think we've really come into that in the last like probably 12 months really, and knowing what we both really are passionate about and want to be doing. But yeah, I think it's just endurance is the main thing. And
I think the best way
passion.
to think about it is like every time we start a project, it's like you're starting a new company or a new business. So it's like you have an idea and you go, all right, I believe in this idea, I want to make this idea, and then you have to fund it, you have to hire people, you have to get people to believe in it, you got to, and then once that film's done and it's amazing and you know it goes wherever it goes, you then move on to the next one, you've got to start again. So every time you've got a new team of people and you've got more contacts and hopefully improved reputation because the project's done well.
That's continuous learning, continuous challenges.
Yeah.
And as a husband and wife team, I'm actually a family business consultant. So
might need to speak with you.
there are a few tips I've got for you. Let me tell you. Yeah.
So what else? You do some photo shoots and stuff here and screen testing?
Yeah, so so one part of what I was doing at Grace Acting Studios was self-tapes for actors, because with COVID and especially now, self-tapes are such a common thing, which is when an actor just gets an audition, they have to film it themselves. And a lot of actors are either doing it at home on their iPhone or when it comes to kids, their parents are trying to figure out how to shoot it and how to give direction and edit it and deliver it.
And as you know, working with family,
it's complicated. So one sort of part of what we wanted to do was continue to offer that service of providing like a self-tape service for actors and mentorship. Mentoring actors and young actors in Geelong.
Well, that makes sense because I've tried that on my own iPhone and I've showed it to my family and said, Dad, that's the greatest load of crap I've ever seen. Right? So I had to go off and get a professional one done at one stage. But I think that's a much needed opportunity. I really do.
Yeah.
So you've reformed the company, changed the name
to Saliba Pictures.
And the website is?
salibapictures.com or www.salibapictures.com.
Okay. And where's that heading? What's your aim there?
Well, so formerly our name was Paperless Films, and funny that you learn, so much on the go is when we started our film, they were like, you have to start a production company. We were like...
Yeah, because every time you start a production... So
it's all right, Miss Emotional here.
I'm emotional. No, there we go.
No, like Paperless Films, which was our original company, when we made our first feature film, again, sort of just learning as we were going, we realised we had to start a company. So we just started a company with, I guess, we did, but we didn't have an intention to build the company into anything massive.
It was just a means to an end.
Yeah, we just wanted to make films and we had to create a company to do that. And then over the last
12
years,
months, really? We've wanted to venture into other areas, and we just felt like we needed to change the name because we wanted to be connected to it. But I was like, well, what better name than for marketing and to be able to get our names out there is to literally just go with our name. And we worked with an amazing graphic designer, Chloe Gordon, who's down in Torquay, and she brought to life our idea of making a logo that says Geelong without saying Geelong. And so we've used the fountain down at the waterfront as our inspiration for our logo. And so it kind of, it shows us where we're from and where we've started, but it doesn't lock us into only just, functioning in a way just within Geelong, although that's something we're very passionate about. So I guess we want to venture more into broader areas of the industry. So that's like education and being able to open up more spaces and to be able to, do more with mentorship and among our projects too. So there's a lot in the pipeline, but we just wanted to start fresh and start new and have a real aim for what we wanted to do and have a real goal about where we were going, which we didn't feel with the previous name we had that, whereas now it's kind of like, well, our names are on it. So
and that's your IP in the future, of course. That's where the value is in that. But if you and I came in here and brought in the big the flip chart, and I put 2030 on in the centre and said, right, tell us what you're going to be doing in 2030. Could you do it, or do you think you're on a trajectory now and you know that things like the jigsaw puzzle will just fall into place? But do you reckon you could actually visualise that future point in time?
But it's so funny. I've got a thing with sevens. That's 7 years' time, isn't it? So I think that, I mean, there's a lot of exciting things coming, and I have no doubt that we'll be able to achieve them. Like, I think that, we really want to be pivotal in being a voice for Geelong, and not even just Geelong, but the Australian industry too, and being able to offer, because we spent so long working with young people, that's a really big passion of ours, and so by then we'd love to be able to be talking with people who are now like, oh, because you guys gave me an opportunity, now I'm working here, or
yeah. And I guess, like, for us, it's building a film industry in Geelong, and through our productions that we aim to bring here, we aim to bring as much of each production as we can, if not the whole production, to Geelong. And over the past few years, we've really, or even just the past 12 months, we've really connected with a lot of people who are killing it in the industry, who live in Geelong. And they're also so behind a flourishing industry here, because there's so much being shot here at the moment. So, yeah, so for us, it's our production company growing into a... How much...
Well, I would say like a global hotspot, really. Like, we want to be a place that people are like, I can't wait to go to Geelong and film this. I can't wait to go there. And...
Well, there's a lot of words that single words that could describe it, but I think what you're saying is you're going to set the pathway,
Yeah,
and you're going to set the benchmark,
and
you'll be the exemplar in the industry as far as this region is first, but then also in Australia. That's probably how I'd sum it up.
And you want it to be sort of the one-stop shop. Someone wants to make a film here, they come to you and off you go. And I know you've been looking at a big space to hold as a studio, I suppose?
Yes, I guess, it's still in the works at the moment, and something we're going by is pioneering a new industry for Geelong. And Geelong comes off the back of a lot of industry and a lot of, incredible people with incredible minds and inventions and things that happen here. But I felt like there's been a lull for a really long time about, what's Geelong really got? We have so many talented creatives and professionals, and from all areas too. And I guess the good thing about the film industry is that no matter what pathway you're in, no matter what career you're in, we need you. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a tradie, it doesn't matter if you're an accountant, if you're a lawyer, if you are a cleaner, if you're a cook. All of it is within the film industry in the daily runnings. And we've been looking at a space that potentially we'll be able to take on and turn into a large space to host as a creative co-op with other production companies and build spaces to be able to bring films in and offer services as well as education, and a place for those that feel like they think a little bit differently and want to be involved. And it's all in the pipeline. Hopefully I'll be able to share a little bit more with you in the next 6 months, but it's very exciting and something we've been working quite hard on, and I've used as a little thing while I've been at Compton School as well as my main project. So I think some really exciting things are coming, and if I can say anything, I think that we've felt really supported by a lot of people, and we really appreciate it. And I think, Mark, having you as a mentor too, to be able to help me navigate those steps has been phenomenal. And we wouldn't be where we are today with that project if it wasn't for that.
I've just come out of year 12 or maybe go back a bit. I'm in year 11. What advice do you give to a young student who, because year 11, they're trying to be forced into subjects. This is the problem I've got with the school program. But what advice would you give a year 11 student that has this hidden passion like you had to follow their dream?
Oh, man.
I think for me, it's a hard one, but I think it all comes down to passion. I think interviewing all these businesses and all these people, I think it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're passionate about what you do, that's the key. Because I think the problem a lot of the time is when people just fall into a job, or they stay with a job just because it's convenient.
Or mum and dad did it, so I'll do it.
Yeah, and there's somewhere inside them there's a passion to do something else, or run their own business, or whatever it is, I think it always comes down to passion. And I think me in year 11 had this passion to work in this industry. Probably didn't know it was going to take this long it was going to be this much of a slog, but it's the passion that keeps both of us going, and it's the passion that drives everything that we do, whether it's a film or a business idea.
And I think I want to add to that is that someone said that whatever you were doing at 10, that's when you're most happiest. And what was I doing at 10? I was performing, I was acting, I was making movies at home with a little handy cam. It was like editing things, and Luke was doing similar things as well within his childhood. And it's like now we're back there. And I think one of the best things I ever heard was actually in year 12, I decided to do maths. And maths is not, it's just not my thing. I can understand a concept, but bring the numbers in and I'm lost. And I was getting so frustrated I didn't understand something. And my teacher said, Erin, we both know you're not very good at maths. And I was like, I know. She said, but no one in this room could stand up in front of an audience and, do a solo for 70 minutes. And no one in this room could make a movie and put it out there, which I was very passionate about, my media film, which is so funny. I went into nursing. But it was that thing of like, everybody's got their own individual gifts and talents. And I also think just giving yourself space to breathe. If I could go back, I would have taken a gap year, honestly. Like I would have gone and got life experience, or I would have gone and travelled, or I would have, gone down that path.
Would have,
more.
could have, should have.
Yeah, but hey, look at me now. So,
But Luke, going back to your comment just before, there's an old saying that says it takes 15 years to be an instant success.
Yeah.
Right? And most businesses fail. 80% of all startups fail in the first 2 years. So,
we're doing it right.
and this is the tech industry, of course, and that's why the governments pour all this money into all these new startups and all the rest of it. But it's the businesses that have been going for 5 years or 6 years that have got a base, and they're the ones that if you put money into those, they've got the base to launch into something even bigger. So don't worry about, it took so long.
Yeah.
Right? You're still on the journey.
That's it.
That's right.
So, Erin, Luke, thank you.
thanks. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Your passion, I think, Bill, comes out hard and strong, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And we will make sure we push this far and wide, but it's fantastic to see what you're doing. And I hope we can continue being part of your journey. And maybe in a few years' time, if we're still doing this, Bill, we'll do a catch-up podcast and see where we went. So, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.